Trump's policies when it comes to deportation and the freezing of foreign aid finally kicking in. Let's discuss this with Dindo Manhit. He's the president of Stratbase Group. Hi, Dindo. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Hey, thanks for taking time out of your busy night to talk to us. First off, over the weekend, the Trump policy, that the latest one that sent shockwaves around the world is the memo that he sent to U.S. aid, pausing all U.S. foreign aid for 90 days pending review. What did you make of it, and how big of an impact do you think it will have on the Philippines, which is a major recipient of U.S. aid money?
I think what is given in this instruction of President Trump is really maybe a review based on the priorities that they want to happen, or a refocusing based on the tagline, Make America First, because that has always been what has driven their agenda. So will it affect our projects? Maybe it will just delay some of our projects. But I think on the security side, I don't see it being covered by aid, because our security is more on a broader partnership that we have, and it's limited, and it's not considered as an aid because it's focused on the initiatives also of the U.S. defense sector.
Right. Well, actually, explain to us how it works, Dindo. You work with the embassies here closely. For something, for instance, like the $500 million military aid that they announced last year, where would the money for that have come from? And will that be impacted by an EO like this?
It's possible, but depending on what is covered by that EO. And
sorry,
in the case of
I should correct myself. It's not an EO yet. It's just a memo to U.S. aid officials.
Yes, I think it's really more of an assessment of what their directions are. So I don't really see it as negative as it could be. And moving forward, I think it's also good to align the projects of the U.S. Embassy here and their aid agency, or the U.S. aid, to focus on what are the priorities of a new president. And I think that's what we can expect, really, in the next 90 days. Well, I mean, even programs and projects through the years, I've seen that these are assessed when there are new Congress, congressional leadership, realignment of budgets. So I think it's part of the bureaucratic process of any aid agency.
Dindo, we do know that President Trump does not believe in climate change. He withdrew from the Paris Agreement. And taking a look at the list of projects U.S. aid has with us, they do support us when it comes to disaster response, emergency preparedness, climate resilience, fisheries, forestry, safe water, a lot to do with climate change and receiving climate justice. Do you think that end will most likely suffer?
It could be, given the strong position of President Trump and his administration on this issue. But for me, really, I think at the end of the day, our government, we are an independent republic. We have programs, projects, initiatives within our own Philippine development plan. So we can simply adjust and work with other like-minded countries that maybe share our values on addressing climate change, addressing climate risks. So I think it's really about a challenge also for our government, and which they have done in the security side, to broaden our partnership and alliances on the area of climate.
Well, earlier, before you dialed in, Dindo, the three of us were discussing here about one of the, I guess, worst case scenarios, you could call it, that because Trump is transactional and because he said that, you're right, it is a 90-day review of these programs, and he wants only programs that align with the America First policy that he has. And we were wondering if he could use it as a bargaining chip, for example, to get the Philippine government to be more compliant or to be more malleable to their demands, amenable?
As long as this discussion does not affect our own national interest, I think that's part of any discussion on aid. We experienced that in terms of our aid program or our own partnership with institutions like Asian Development Bank, World Bank. So it's really up for the aid-given country to impose on us what they deem is important. But on our part, we should not forget what is our national interest. It's not about sacrificing our national interest. Aids are meant to support our directions towards our own national goals and objectives.
And do you think we can survive without foreign aid? Okay,
Oh, yes,
maybe not
we are.
all foreign aid, but
From the U.S.
just without U.S. aid.
We will survive. I think we fail to realize that we are the number 32 biggest economy in the world. Our government is heavily funded by our own revenue-generating agencies. We're not aid-driven. Aid is an addition to our programs of government in accordance with the Philippine Development Plan for the next 4 years. So I think it's really up for us to see what is our priority areas and focus our efforts on that, given what aid we get from other countries or what even we can fund through our own revenue-generating process to our fiscal managers.
That may be true, Dindo, but we are also the 5th largest borrower to the World Bank per 2023 numbers. I just looked it up before the show started. We borrowed a total of $2.3 billion in 2023.
Borrowing is different from aid.
Right. But I want the thing that I wanted But the thing that I wanted to point out was that the World Bank is actually one of the biggest funders is also the United States. So if the point being that if the spigot is being tightened in terms of all of the money that gets spent overseas, do you think it may eventually eat into programs that the World Bank disburses?
Well, that would be a different issue because it's up for, then it will also show that the U.S., who has strong influence over the World Bank, will lose that. And are they ready to lose that? So I think for us, it really shows how the U.S. and any change in their government affects the world. And it's a reality that we all need to live with. But the best is really how can we strengthen our own internal capacity and work, not limited to the U.S., on allies, partners that can really serve our programs, our initiatives. So, but for me, this is a 90-day review. Just like any project, it can be reviewed. So I fear that I feel that there should be nothing to fear unless specific items are discussed.
Dindo, how do you think this would affect the level of influence that the United States has all over the world if they do reduce the amount of foreign aid they give? We do know that aid is a form of soft diplomacy, the way they put their arms around the affairs of other countries. How, if they do become more internal based in terms of the way they spend their resources, how would that affect the position of the United States all over the world?
Of course, these are all speculations on their part. If this will continue or simply a review of programs or even a refocusing of programs. But very important is for the U.S. to realize that if they would like also to be respected, and the best way to win in any transactional initiative is to be in a position of strength. So for me, I think I still believe it is simply a review of programs or initiatives by this new government. But if I profile him, the President of the United States, Trump, as transactional, the best way is to be in the position of strength. And they will attain that in their own ways. And that is what we're seeing right now.